Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. Today we are talking about must-add players. I know the title says top 10, but we got 15 guys on this list, and I think a lot of them are huge sleepers. I did a video like this about a week and a half ago, and I talked about guys like Andrei Kuzmenko, Jacob Chikrin, and Filip Hronek, and those guys are still producing very well, and that is my goal for this video too, to help you find those diamonds in the rough on the waiver wire. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Colorado fans are not having a good time right now, because the Avalanche are pretty much running a hospital at this point. Just look at the number of games missed in this graphic. It's just insane. Look at their top 6. This was a team that won the Stanley Cup last year, and this is their current top 6. That is really tough for Colorado Avalanche fans, but it is good for Alex Newhook owners. With McKinnon, Landeskog, Rodriguez, Lehkonen, and Nichushkin all being out right now, Newhook finds himself in an incredible position, centering that first line and that first line power play. In terms of the center position, McKinnon is going to be out for at least a month. Lehkonen and Rodriguez are skating, but their timeline isn't so clear. I think Lehkonen is day-to-day, and the Landeskog is obviously not going to return until January. So really good for Newhook in terms of a short-term add. He can put up a lot of points in the next couple of weeks if he still has his deployment. Colorado may struggle for a little bit with all those good players injured right now, but somebody's got to score goals in that team, and Newhook certainly has the opportunity to do so. He's a great young player, got drafted first round in 2019. He had 33 points last year in 71 games, 13 goals, and this year he's doing okay. You know, he has 9 points in 23 games, has a total of 6 goals, but with this new deployment, that point total is going to go up. But like I said, this is a short-term add before those guys come back. If you are in need of immediate help, Newhook is definitely a player you want to look at. If you are at the bottom of your standings and you need some points, you are desperate, Newhook could definitely be that guy to help your team in the next couple of weeks. So definitely not a long-term hold, but look at him for the next month or so, and maybe he'll put up really good points. We'll see what happens, but I like it as a good pickup. The next must-add player on this list is Cole Perfetti of the Winnipeg Jets. With Ehlers out long-term after his surgery, Perfetti finds himself on that top line, and he is definitely producing. He currently has 16 points in 24 games, also has 4 goals in these 24 games, and he's just played incredibly solid. Not on that first line power play, which I don't love, but I think in deeper leagues, Perfetti could be a great add. Definitely a solid option even when Ehlers comes back. He is a young player, only 20 years old, second year in the league, so I expect him to only get better as the season goes on. If you're in a league with 14 teams or more, definitely take a look at Cole Perfetti, because he also has the eligibility of center, left wing, and right wing, which is super valuable. And the Jets are really good this year, so pick him up and see what happens. He could be good for the rest of the season. The next player on this list is goaltender Dan Vladar of the Calgary Flames. A lot of people are very excited about Vladar right now, unless you own Jacob Markstrom, of course. And this is because Vladar is stealing starts from last year's Vezina finalist, Jacob Markstrom. And as I'm recording this, he has started his 3rd game in a row. They're playing Minnesota right now, and I think they're up 3-2. So Vladar is about to get another win. Now, I know Vladar is playing good, but I wouldn't get too excited about him, and that's why he's lower on this list. I think he is more of a short-term add for the next month or so, because I do believe Markstrom is going to bounce back. However, if you are in need for a goalie right now to get some wins and some points, Vladar is a great option. But looking at his numbers right now, he's 4-4-1 with a goals against average of 2.52 and a save percentage of .914, compared to Markstrom's stats, who has a goals against average of 2.97 and a save percentage of .889. So definitely Vladar is the better goalie right now, and Calgary needs to win games, so they are going to ride the hot hand, and Vladar is probably going to get a lot of starts in the near future. All I'm saying is don't add Vladar expecting him to be the #1 guy for the rest of the season. I do think his ceiling is 50% of the starts, so in a deeper league, that's pretty solid, but his floor is just him being the backup again, so there is some risk there. Don't drop a guy that you know is reliable, a goalie that is reliable or solidified as the #1 guy for Vladar. Don't buy into the hype just yet, but like I said, good short-term add if you want some fantasy points, and potentially a long-term hold in a deeper league where Vladar would get 50% of the starts. So we'll see what happens, but solid add for the near future. Number 12 on this list is Jack Quinn of the Buffalo Sabres. The Sabres have so much offensive firepower this year, and as I'm recording this, the Sabres just beat the Blue Jackets 9-4. Quinn only got 1 assist in this game, but he has still been really solid this year with 15 points in 21 games and also a total of 6 goals. Now, Quinn is a rookie, so I don't expect him to put up insane numbers, but I think in deeper leagues with 14 teams or more, he could be an amazing long-term hold, especially with that dual eligibility of left wing and right wing. He's just a really solid player on a team that can score a lot of goals. He's currently playing on the second line with Cozens, who is also on this list, who is playing amazing. Quinn doesn't seem first line power play time, which isn't the best, but I do expect him to put up 45 to 50 points this season. Doesn't put up great peripherals, but I think he is a really solid add and will put up great points and potentially improve as the season goes on because he's such a young player. The next player on this list is Hagel of the Tampa Bay Lightning, and I think Hagel is a massive sleeper on this list. He's only 23% rostered, and I expect this to skyrocket in the next couple of weeks, and I'll tell you why. He currently has 7 goals and a total of 17 points in 25 games, putting him on pace for 55 points in the season. But what really stands out to me is that he is playing with Nikita Kucherov and Braden Point on that first line and on that Tampa Bay Lightning first line power play. One of the best power plays in the league. Hagel is on that with Stammer, Kucherov, Point, and Sergachev, and I just think that is so much potential for Hagel as the season goes on and as he continues to get better because he is a young player. He got traded from Chicago to Tampa last year, didn't play the best on Tampa, but he is still really good. I mean, he had 44 points last season, 25 goals in 77 games. With all that being said, definitely take a look at Hagel. In any leagues with 12 teams or more, I think Hagel is a must add, and his roster will go up very high very soon. There's not a lot of valuable players on the Chicago Blackhawks this year, but surprisingly, Max Domi is one of them. With 9 goals and a total of 19 points in 25 games, Domi is having a career resurgence. If you followed his career, he used to play for Montreal, and he put up 72 points in 2018, but he sort of declined every year since, so he's finally putting up good numbers again, which is really nice to see. He's centering the first line with Patrick Kane, and he's also on that first line power play, a power play that he currently has 10 power play points on, only 25 games in, putting him on pace for 32 power play points in the season. If you look at his career stats, he's never had more than 15 power play points in a season, so this is really good for Domi, especially for his fantasy value. Another thing to consider is that he has been the topic of trade discussions, being linked to teams like the Oilers and the Colorado Avalanche, so this could be big for Domi too, or maybe bad because he won't be seeing first line power play time on those two teams. So we'll see what happens, but even if he stays on Chicago, really good opportunities for him being on that first line, power play, scoring a lot of goals, putting up a lot of points. Definitely a solid add and potentially rosterable in a 10-team league, but in any leagues with 12 teams or more, he is a must add. The 9th player on this list is another massive sleeper, and that player is Schmaltz of the Arizona Coyotes. I know that he is on the Coyotes, but look at his stats last season. He had 59 points in 63 games. I know all of you remember that 7-point night that he had last season. He also had 23 goals, and being on that first line and that first line power play, Schmaltz can definitely put up those type of numbers again. He is only 20% rostered right now, guys. He has the dual eligibility of center and right wing, and although last year was a career year, we don't know if it's sustainable, but I do think that he can put up these type of numbers. So we'll see what happens going into the rest of the season. He has started off a little bit slow with only 4 points in 8 games, does have 3 goals, but I expect this to pick up as he comes back from this injury and plays more games. You might not have to add him just yet, but keep an eye on him because he likely is going to have a big night, and then his roster is going to go way up, and you might miss out on him, especially in a deeper league at only 20% rostered. So expect him to put up some more points. Doesn't put up a lot of power play points, but I mean, he put up 23 goals last season, so a lot of value there. So keep an eye on him and see what happens. Another massive sleeper. We're going back to back sleepers on this list. That guy is Dawson Mercer, and he is only 17% rostered on the New Jersey Devils, and I will explain to you why he's a massive sleeper because I know his stats aren't incredibly impressive with only 15 points in 26 games and a total of 6 goals. The reason why he's a massive sleeper is because he is now on that first line power play. This is only his second year in the league, but as a rookie last season, he put up 42 points in 82 games, and this was on a Devils team that was worse. And because he's such a young player, at the beginning of the season, he was only averaging 12 to 13 minutes per game. And now, over the last 2 weeks, he's averaging like 17 to 18 minutes. So this is a really good sign moving forward, especially on a Devils team that is really, really good. One of the best teams in the league. They actually don't have the best power play right now. They are bottom 10 in terms of power play percentage, but I think this is going to improve because the Devils can score 5 and 5. They can likely score in the power play too. Another big thing to add on for Mercer in terms of the power play talk is that last season when he put up 42 points in 82 games, he only had 5 power play points, and this season he already has 4. And this is with, majority of the season not even being on the first line power play. So now he is going to put up more power play points, which means more overall points, adding on to the potential for him to break out as a young player who is going to get better as his years go by. So really, really solid for Mercer. I think he's one of the biggest sleepers on this list, if not the biggest sleeper. Absolutely keep an eye on him. I think he's going to put up like 60 points this season, and for a guy that's 17% rostered, that is just insane to me. In a deeper league, this could be a league winner potentially if everything that I'm saying is true. Obviously, you never know what will happen. Maybe he gets taken on that first line power play, but I think he will stay there. So look at him, maybe even add him early if you feel like you can drop a guy and you see the potential like I do, but I think he's the biggest sleeper on this list and a great add. The next player on this list is Kevin Hayes of the Philadelphia Flyers, another huge sleeper on this list because he is so underrated. He does not have the best plus minus, but he is an over point per game player with 28 points in 27 games. I just saw tonight he scored another goal, the only goal that the Flyers had against Washington, so incredibly solid stuff from Hayes so far. Honestly, Hayes has been a really solid player for the last couple of seasons, but he's been injury prone, so his stats don't reflect what he gets in a normal 82 game season, but nonetheless, I think what is really big for Hayes this season is all of the Flyers injuries that the Flyers have. So he is getting that first line power play time and on that top line, which is proven to be very good for him so far. Adding on to this deployment, if you're looking at his power play points this season, he has 10 already in 27 games. That puts him on pace for like over 30 power play points. And if you look at his career stats, he has never had more than 11 power play points in a season. So this is pretty huge for Hayes. If this trend continues, he is likely going to put up 65 plus points on a pretty bad Flyers team, which is fantastic. Even in my 10-team league, he was only picked up last night. He's been sitting on the waiver wire for so long, even though he's season ranked 77 in my league. So mad underrated, great ad. But look at Hayes if you need a center or just a guy that is going to put up major fantasy points, because I'm sure there's a lot of guys, even in 10-team leagues, that you can drop, but you're holding on to them, and you see Hayes is on the Flyers, you don't know. You should definitely drop that guy that's not going to do good and pick up Hayes, because he also puts up good peripherals too if your league counts those. He's only 33% rostered, and I do think a big reason he's underrated is because he only has center eligibility, but in real life, he plays on the wing. And people in the comments have been begging Yahoo to give him dual eligibility, to give him a left wing eligibility. So we will see what happens. They just gave Jack Hughes left wing eligibility along with center, which people have been asking for a while, but they still haven't given players like Rupe Hintz that dual eligibility. So you never know. We'll see what happens, but his value is even higher if he gets that left wing or right wing eligibility. We will see what happens, but super solid pickup who's going to put up a lot of points for the rest of the season. Number 6 on this list is defenseman Vince Dunn of the Seattle Kraken. He's having an amazing season this year with 16 points in 25 games and a total of 4 goals. Seattle has shown that they can score a lot of goals this season. In fact, they are top 5 in goals per game in the league, and Vince Dunn has the opportunity to improve on that 35-point season last year and put up even more points on that top unit and on that first line power play. His roster has gone up considerably as of late, so I don't know how available he is in a lot of your leagues. His shooting percentage is a little bit high, so he is due for some regression, but I expect him to put up potentially 50 plus points this season, so we will see what happens on a really good Kraken team. The next player on this list is defenseman Sean Durzi of the Los Angeles Kings. I just picked him up on Monday in my 10-team league, and I wish I could have given you this information sooner because I know that it's going to be hard to pick him up probably when you watch this video, but hopefully you still can because I think he is a massive sleeper, and I will tell you why. I mean, the first reason is pretty obvious, guys. Look at his point total. He has 18 points in 25 games, putting him on pace for 59 points in a full healthy season. He also has 4 goals, and I highlighted his power play points here because he has 9 power play points in 25 games, despite Drew Doughty leading the LA Kings in power play time. So technically, Durzi is not even power play 1. Doughty averages 3 minutes a game on the power play. Durzi does average 2 minutes and 30 seconds, so it is close. They're pretty much splitting, but The fact is, it's not even Durzi's power play, and yet he's so offensively gifted that he's putting up these points. And I do think the gift that he has offensively is a big reason why the Kings fans have such a love-hate relationship with him, because he's so good on offense, but defensively, he is kind of a liability. He's a young player who makes a lot of mistakes, so there is going to be some learning curves. I mean, he even got healthy scratch earlier this season, and if you look at his point total, you're probably thinking, how did that happen? And that's because he does make a lot of mistakes on defense. Nonetheless, Durzi is a must-add player. If you need a defenseman and he is on your market, you need to pick him up. I think he is an amazing long-term hold, especially with how many goals the Kings can score this year. If you're in an 8-team league, he could even be rostered in an 8-team league. I definitely think that in a 10-team league or higher than that, he is a must roster. He needs to be rostered in 10-team leagues or more. So look at him for sure if you need a defenseman. He is going to get scooped up very quickly if he is not already scooped up in your leagues. So much potential, so good offensively, lots of power play points, so amazing ad and huge sleeper for the rest of the season. I want to add this before we move on to the next player. Kind of a hot take. Maybe I'm biased because I just picked Durzi up and he's on my team, but I think he is going to be better than Doughty this season. If you own Doughty, you should start to get a little bit worried because Durzi is going to probably take over the power play and start getting more minutes in him. That's just my opinion. He looks better out there than Doughty on the power play. So yeah, hot take. I think he's going to have a better season ranked than Doughty. That's my opinion. We will see what happens. Number 4 on this list is Matty Beniers of the Seattle Kraken. Another Kraken player. We have so many Kraken guys on this list. And Beniers is leading the Calder Trophy race for a very good reason. He has 21 points in 25 games and a total of 10 goals. He is playing amazing. His shooting percentage is high right now at 20%, so I do expect some regression in the goal department, but he's in that top 6. He's on the second line power play unit that splits with the first, so he's still getting plenty of power play time, and he's just a really solid player, a young player who is breaking out and is likely going to improve as the season goes on. So not much to say about Beniers. I mean, he is a center, which is a bloated position. It might be tough to drop a guy for Beniers when you know that you only can have so many centers on your team, but I still think he's a must add because he has looked really, really good so far, and the Kraken can score a lot of goals. He could put up 30 goals this year. We will see what happens, but add him and take a risk if you feel like he is going to keep up this play, which I think he could. We'll see what happens. Number 3 on this list is Travis Konecny of the Philadelphia Flyers, another guy that I don't have a lot to talk about because he's just playing really good. The numbers speak for themselves. He has 22 points in 20 games, also 10 goals, playing really good on a really bad Flyers team. His shooting percentage at 16% isn't crazy unsustainable, but last year his shooting percentage was 7%. So I do expect some regression from him in the goal department. Maybe last year was an outlier, but he is likely not going to put up 35 to 40 goals. Either way, I see him putting up 60 points or more, and we've seen this from Konecny. He put up really good numbers in the past, so I think he's probably going to put up 25 plus goals, 60 points, puts up amazing peripherals too if your league values though. So we'll see what happens in terms of the rest of the season, because I do remember him falling off one of the other years in the last 2. Where he did really good the first half and then fell off in the second, but I don't really expect that to happen because we know Konecny is a really good skilled player, and Torts really likes him. So on that first line power play, on that first line, gonna have a lot of opportunities and gonna put up a lot of points. Number 2 on this list, the guy in the thumbnail, that is Andre Burakovsky of the Seattle Kraken, another Kraken player on this list. We've talked about 6 Kraken guys, but I think he tops them all. He's having an amazing year this year with 27 points in 26 games, an over point per game player. He also has 9 goals and 10 power play points. He is probably the best player on the Seattle Kraken on that first line and on that first line power play. He is the guy that they are going to, and we know that Burakovsky is a great player. If you look at the last 3 seasons on Colorado, he's putting up really good numbers, probably on pace for 60 plus points in those seasons, but he wasn't the guy. They were feeding McKinnon, Rantanen, other guys that were better than him, but now he has the opportunity to be the player that can put up a lot of points, and I could see him putting up 70 points or more this season, especially on a Kraken team that can score a lot of goals. This season shows that Burakovsky wasn't carried by the Colorado Avalanche system or their all-star players. He is truly an elite player, and his shooting percentage at 13% is very sustainable. So if he's available in your leagues, you definitely need to pick him up. I think he could even be rostered in a league with 8 teams, but definitely 10-team leagues or above, you need to pick this guy up. I doubt he's available, but he is going going to be really good for the rest of the season, and I'm really high on him personally. The number one must-add player on this list is Cozens of the Buffalo Sabres. I wish I put out this video earlier, just like I said with Durzi, because I know it is going to be extremely hard to pick him up in those more shallow leagues now, with him playing absolutely insane as of late, with 12 points in his last 5 games. However, if you do watch the channel, this was my least viewed video, but I talked about him in my waiver wire guide video for week 8, and I said that Cozens being on that first line power play and being pretty solid throughout the season, he was a sleeper and a must add, and that he could potentially even be a long-term hold. At that time, he was 10% rostered, and now he's at 51% rostered, and I'm sure in a week he's going to be at like 70% rostered. He is playing crazy, and the Buffalo Sabres can score so many goals. As I'm recording this, he just had a 3-point night against the Blue Jackets. The Sabres put up 9 goals. Tage Thompson scored 5 of those 9 goals. And Cozens, like I said in that waiver wire video, he is on that first line power play, centering Tage Thompson, Jeff Skinner, Alex Tuch, Rasmus Dahlin. This has so much potential for him for the rest of the season, and I think he is a must add in any league format at this point. Alright guys, that's the end of the video. If you enjoyed this content, please hit that subscribe button below. It really helps with me being a new channel, and I appreciate it so much. Also, hit that like button. We're trying to get to 75 likes on this video. Don't know if it's possible, but that would be super cool. And I just quickly want to say I really do appreciate all the support that I've been getting, all the views, the likes, all the comments. Really nice comments from some of you guys. And I didn't expect to get this many views just starting my channel about a month ago. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you guys so much. And I'm going to be putting in that work to put in the best content possible to help your teams in these fantasy leagues. So like always, guys, have a good one. Have a good rest of your week. And thanks for watching. Bye.